Pulse oximeter is a widely used tool to measure the SpO2 non-invasively. In this video, I am going to tell you the principle of pulse oximeter and the limitation of its use. Hey everyone, welcome back to HM Learnings. I am Harshita, the creator of HM Learnings, where students come to clear their concept and to get the study material. Make sure that you have subscribed my channel. You can also follow HM Learnings on Facebook, Instagram and Twitter for daily updates. We have also started uploading all our content on website known as SlideShare. You can easily download and clip our slides from that website. I will also share the link of this video slides in the description box. So you just need to click on that link and you will be on the SlideShare. So we will start our today's video, that is about the pulse oximeter. And in this COVID time, the pulse oximeter is a topic of discussion not only among the medical professionals but also among the common people. So that is why it becomes important to discuss this topic. So first we need to understand the definition of the pulse oximeter, what it really do, and then we are going to see that how it will do. That is, by understanding its principle we can know that how the pulse oximeter measures the SpO2 in the blood, and lastly the limitation of its use. Okay, so we need to divide this term, which is the pulse oximeter. So oximeter means what? The measurement of oxygen, and pulse is what we know. What is pulse? The pulsatile blood flow which is happening in the arterial compartment of the blood vessels. Okay, so through the pulsatile nature of the blood flow, the oximeter or the pulse oximeter measures the oxygen saturation of the hemoglobin in the blood vessels. So it is used to measure the peripheral O2. What do you mean by peripheral O2? Peripheral O2 means that we are measuring non-invasively the peripheral oxygen saturation of the hemoglobin in the arterial blood. That is by placing the pulse oximeter at the peripheral sites. You are placing the pulse oximeter either at the fingertips or at the ear or any pulsatile blood vessel which can be accessible externally. Okay, and it is a non-invasive technique. So you can see that this is a diagram of the pulse oximeter. You must be familiar with this instrument, and then the parameters which the pulse oximeter can show. It is giving you SpO2. SpO2 means the peripheral oxygen saturation, because we are using the pulse oximeter at the peripheral sites of the body, and it is measuring the blood. It is measuring the oxygen saturation of the hemoglobin at the peripheral sites. Then it is showing the heart rate also. So how does it is showing the heart rate? Because it can detect the pulsatile blood flow. Okay, so what we do when we measure the radial pulse manually, we are basically measuring the pulsatile blood flow. Okay, so by that we calculate the heart rate. Pulse rate is equal to heart rate in the normal individuals. So because the pulse oximeter can detect the pulsatile nature of the blood flow, by that it can calculate the heart rate, and by that it can calculate the SpO2. So this is the pulse waveform which is also shown in some of the oximeters. Okay, so how can you say that this is a pulsatile blood flow? You can say that the blood flow increases during the systole and the blood flow decreases during the diastole. So pulsatile means what? The amount of the volume of the blood changes with the cardiac cycle. Okay, during the systole, the ventricle pumps the blood, so the blood volume increases in the arteries. Okay, but during the diastole, the ventricle relaxes, so the blood volume decreases in the arteries, and that is shown only in the arterial compartment of the blood vessels, not in the veins and not in the capillaries. Okay, so this is the pulse waveform which is shown in the pulse oximeter. Okay, so with this we can move on to the principle. tells us that how this instrument, how this tool works. So basically there are two principles. The pulse oximeter differentiates between the oxyhemoglobin and the deoxyhemoglobin. Okay, so we need to know the concentration of the oxyhemoglobin because we are talking about the oxygen saturation of hemoglobin. In other words, we are talking about the percentage of the oxyhemoglobin in the total hemoglobin in the blood. Okay, then we need to know the SpO2 only in the arterial compartment of the blood. We need to know that how much oxygen from the lungs is reaching to the peripheral sites, to the tissues. So we need to calculate the SpO2 only in the arterial compartment. So these are the two principles, and now we will go to discuss the principles in a detail. Okay, so the first principle is that the pulse oximeter is able to differentiate between the oxyhemoglobin and the deoxyhemoglobin. So how does the pulse oximeter does so? So for that you need to understand that in the blood we have two types of the hemoglobin, oxyhemoglobin and the deoxyhemoglobin. Oxyhemoglobin is O2 Hp and deoxyhemoglobin is HHP. Now the oxyhemoglobin, if you have ever seen the arterial blood, it is bright red in color. Okay, whereas the deoxyhemoglobin is dark red in color, not that much bright. So why it happens? It happens because the oxyhemoglobin absorbs the light of a different wavelength and the deoxyhemoglobin absorbs light of a different wavelength, and this is the principle of the pulse oximeter. It emits two lights of the two different wavelengths, and one type of the light, that is the one wavelength of the light, is absorbed more by the oxyhemoglobin, and the other type of the wavelength of the light is absorbed more by the deoxyhemoglobin. The difference between the absorbance of these two types of the wavelength of the light will be then assessed by the microprocessor and the software of the pulse oximeter to finally give you a value of SpO2. That is the oxygen saturation of the hemoglobin. That is the value of the oxyhemoglobin, the percentage of oxyhemoglobin. So now you can look on this diagram. This is a finger probe of SpO2. Okay, on the one, this is the one arm and this is the another arm of the oximeter. On the one arm, on the upper arm, what you can see here is that there is basically a pair of the light emitting diodes. Okay, they are emitting the infrared light and they are emitting the red light. So basically these two types of the light passes through the blood vessels, artery, capillaries and the veins, and then they will be detected by the photo detector present on the other arm of the pulse oximeter, because some of the light is absorbed and some of the light will be you can say transmitted back. It will be transmitted to the photo detector, which will be then detected. Okay, so they are using the red light at the 660 nanometer and near infrared light at the 940 nanometer. Oxyhemoglobin absorbs greater amount of the infrared light and lesser amount of the red light. Okay, that means it will scatter more red light, and that is why you can say that the oxyhemoglobin appears to be bright red. Okay, whereas the deoxyhemoglobin does the opposite. It absorbs more red light and less infrared light, and the difference between the red and the infrared light absorbed and reflected are used by the photodetector of the pulse oximeter to ultimately determine the proportion of the hemoglobin bound to oxygen. Okay, so in the last video, if you remember the video on the happy hypoxia, I have discussed about the SpO2. What is SpO2? SpO2 is equal to oxyhemoglobin divided by oxyhemoglobin plus the deoxyhemoglobin. So it is the percentage of the oxyhemoglobin in the total hemoglobin. So let's say if a person has 98% of the hemoglobin, so what it means to have 98% of SpO2, it means that if a person has 100% of you can say hemoglobin, 100% of hemoglobin. So out of that 100% of hemoglobin, 98% of the hemoglobin is saturated with the oxygen. Okay, that is the meaning of SpO2. So now we move on to the next principle, that is it calculates the SpO2, that is the oxygen saturation of hemoglobin, only in the arterial blood. So how it happens? It happens because the pulsatile blood flow is seen in the arterioles and arteries but not seen in the capillaries and the veins. Okay, as a result, the red and the infrared light which is absorbed, okay, it will fluctuate. It will also fluctuate. Let us understand with the help of this diagram. Okay, so what happens with the onset of the cardiac cycle, with the onset of the ventricular you can say systole, what happens? The arterial blood increases. Okay, and when the ventricular diastole begins, the arterial blood decreases, but the venous and the capillary blood and as well as the stationary tissues, their volume remains the same. There is no change. Okay, so what happens when the arterial blood volume increases? The amount of the red light which is absorbed will be increased. Why? Because if there is more blood, more will be the oxyhemoglobin. Okay, similarly, if the absorbance of the infrared light will also be increased. Why? Because if there is increase in the volume of the arterial blood, there will be increase in the deoxyhemoglobin as well. Okay, because blood contains both oxyhemoglobin and deoxyhemoglobin. So if the volume of the blood increases, what will happen? Both types of the hemoglobin will be increased. So there is fluctuation not only in the volume of the blood in the arterial compartment, but also there is fluctuation in the absorbance of the red light and the infrared light with the cardiac cycle. It will increase in the systole and decrease in the diastole. Okay, and that is how the pulse oximeter come to know that the total absorbance, they have two components. One component is the one which is showing the pulsatile pattern in which the absorbance fluctuates, but there is another compartment also in which the absorbance remains the same. So what does that pulse oximeter do? The algorithm in the pulse oximeter will minus the non-pulsatile component and gives us only the SpO2 of the pulsatile component. Okay, so I hope you understand that how the pulse oximeter comes to understand that this is the pulsatile component. Why? Through the help of the fluctuations in the absorbance of the red and the infrared light. Okay, this is a diagram which is showing you the difference in the artery and the capillary in the vein. They are showing the direct current, means the non-pulsatile component, and the artery is showing the alternating current because it has the pulsatile component. So then the SpO2 is calculated from the differential pulsatile absorbance of light at two wavelengths. So we are using two wavelengths. Why? Because in order to differentiate between the oxyhemoglobin and the deoxyhemoglobin, and we are using the SpO2 is measuring only the SpO2. Pulse oximeter is measuring only the SpO2 in the arteries by the pulsatile nature of the arteries, by detecting the pulsatile nature of the arteries. Okay, this is the diagram which is showing you further that how the SpO2 is calculated. Okay, so it is showing you the ratio of the red to infrared light, okay, on the y-axis, and showing you the SpO2 which is in the percentage on the x-axis. So what happens? As the ratio decreases, the SpO2 increases because red light is absorbed by the more by the deoxyhemoglobin. Okay, and infrared light is absorbed more by the deoxyhemoglobin. So SpO2 increases when the amount of the infrared light absorption infrared, you can say infrared it gets increased. Okay, so at that time what will happen, because if there is more oxyhemoglobin, more will be the absorption of the infrared light. So if there is more absorption of infrared light, this ratio gets decreased. So as the ratio gets decreased, the SpO2 increases because the level of the oxyhemoglobin is increased. Okay, now the limitation is what? Okay, so limitation is that there are two type of cyanosis. Cyanosis means what? There will be a presence of the deoxyhemoglobin in the peripheral blood. So there are two types of the cyanosis, peripheral and the central. Pulse oximeter is not able to detect the peripheral cyanosis because it is basically giving you the SpO2 level in the arterial compartment and not in the capillaries. Okay, and the cyanosis occurs at the level of the capillaries. Okay, when there is increase in the presence of the deoxyhemoglobin, the percentage of deoxyhemoglobin gets increased in the capillary blood. That is why the cyanosis occurs. So it is detecting the oxygen saturation in the arterial blood. So that is why it will show you the normal saturation of the hemoglobin with the oxygen in the case of the peripheral cyanosis. Another thing is that in the case of the carbon monoxide poisoning, what has happened, the blood has become cherry red in color, and the absorption spectra of the hemoglobin with the carbon monoxide and the hemoglobin with the oxyhemoglobin is the same. So the pulse oximeter is not able to differentiate between these two things, and that is why in the case of the carbon monoxide poisoning, it will give you a normal SaO2. Okay, so I hope you understand the principles and the limitation of the pulse oximeter. If you like this video, please like, share and comment. Comment down your suggestions for the upcoming video so that I can know that what should I post next on my channel. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram and Twitter. Check our slides on the SlideShare app. Keep safe. Until then, keep learning.